Hey Daryl, welcome to Project 70. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Can you tell us your name and a bit about yourself?
Right, Rebecca. Well, my name's Daryl Pattemore. I'm 55 years old. I've been working here in Alexandra Hills now for 40 years. And 40 years ago I started an apprenticeship in butchering here in this very store with my father. It was a family business. He had a couple of other stores at that time, one of which was at the Rockland Markets and at Garden City, another one there, and this one here. So it was 40 years ago when I started butchering, and that's how my journey started, and I'm still doing it.
So did you grow up in the Redlands?
No, I grew up at Mount Gravatt. My father was in the Redlands. He bought a property down here in the Redlands 40 years ago, so we spent a lot of time down here. He went from when he bought land down here, he then opened a business here in Alexandra Hills Shopping Centre and become part of the community that way, I suppose. But he had other business interests out of the Redlands, and that over the years it's all in the Redlands. Yeah,
So when did you move to the Redlands?
I moved to the Redlands probably 30 odd years ago, yeah, and lived just down the road, down here at Alexandra Hills for quite a few years, and then for the last 20 years I lived down at Thornlands.
Awesome. So have you got any children?
Yes, I've got 3 children, 3 sons, and the oldest fellow's 28. I've got a 26-year-old that works in the store there as a butcher. And then I've got a 24-year-old, I hope I've got their ages right, and he's a form work chippy or carpenter, and so they've all had stints working in the shop from time to time. And then I have 3 stepchildren as well, one of whom is a butcher, currently working somewhere else, and a daughter who works in a coffee shop at Cleveland, and a young fellow who goes to high school at Cleveland.
Awesome. So what was it like bringing up children in the Redlands?
Oh, look, it was pretty good. Unfortunately, I was always working, but they had a good life. They were in the BMX club. They've played soccer and football at different times. Been associated with a few, lucky enough to be associated with a few of the clubs in this area, and they've all been very good.
So what was it like starting your apprenticeship at 15?
Well, most butchers do start their apprenticeship at quite a young age. At 15, there was school didn't really suit me, and I probably didn't suit school, so I had to go and get a job at the end of that school year, and butchering was it, because it was a natural progression. I'm actually a 5th generation butcher. So we have 5 generations of butchers or 6 generations in the family now with one of my sons. Yeah. So it was just the way we were going to go.
So what's it like running your own business in the Redlands?
Running your own business in the Redlands, it's a great place to do business. It's not like uptown, I suppose. Here you can. If you're heading home and you're lucky enough to go over the crest of the hill, you see a little bit of water, you feel a little bit more at home. The air's nicer when you're walking outside. It's just a nicer place. The people we do business with, like we're retail, obviously. It's just nicer. People seem a little bit more relaxed and laid back out here.
So how have you remained successful for the last 40 years? What do you think makes Pattemore's meat so successful?
We've probably supported a lot of local sporting groups, community groups. We've always got behind people if people have needed help. Yes, we will. We try and help I don't know how to say that properly. So we do get involved with community groups and such, and have been active in the community ourselves, and active members of the community ourselves.
And obviously your product is awesome.
Yes, we produce everything ourselves. We don't buy any product in from anyone. Everything we sell is made by ourselves. We deal with local producers wherever possible. golden cockerel chickens would be a great example. We've dealt with them forever. We could go to other poultries and deal with those, but we've got it locally, it's round the corner. So we deal with those people first and foremost. Unfortunately, you can't buy beef, pork or lamb locally, but we do that all off the Darling Downs, the majority of that.
So how has the drought affected, I guess, you and your supply chain, or how do you support, how are farmers being supported in the process?
Well, farmers, I can't speak from a farmer's perspective, but from our perspective, our costs keep continuing to rise because all the costs prior to us are rising. So we have to reflect that in our pricing strategy. What's the question again?
So how the drought is affecting, I guess, the supply chain, but your business.
Yeah. Supply, we don't have any troubles with supply. We still have no issues getting supply, but it's paying a higher price for that supply now because product has tightened up. Demand is outstripping supply in some cases, particularly with lamb. Lamb is quite a commodity now, and if this pork thing happens to come to our shores, which I certainly hope it doesn't, that'll certainly throw it in amongst the pork too. You just got to price yourself accordingly, and still maintain a fair market price for people. We want to be fair to the people too.
Definitely. And how have you found the paddock to plate movement?
Paddock to plate movement, everyone wants to know where their food's coming from these days. So we try and tell our staff, they know where our meat is coming from, like the beef, so they'll tell the customers, look, our beef's from Killarney, in most cases it comes off Condamine River Road up there in Killarney, or just the outskirts of Killarney on beautiful pastures there, but obviously they're in drought, they're not so beautiful at the moment. All our pork we get from piggeries up on the Darling Downs, so the guys are drilled to tell the customers that if they ask, and all the products we make in store, our sausages, hams and bacon, it's all made in store. We don't buy imported pork or imported products to produce gear with. It's all local.
How have you found with the movement, have you seen an increase in, I guess, direct to consumer, or more people buying their meat from a butcher rather than from Woolies or one of the big chains? Have you seen a movement towards more people coming?
I think we're slowly getting a few people back. In our situation, we're right outside Woolworths, so we depend on Woolworths, I suppose, to bring customers to the centre, and then we have a customer base to pick from too. But if people want to buy from Woolworths, well, so be it. But if they want to buy off the local butcher and talk to the butcher on the counter and get their cooking tips, we certainly cater to that. But some people, unfortunately, it's a convenient style of a world these days, and people love walking through a supermarket and grabbing things, and that's not what we like. But we've got to win them over through sales techniques and good offers and advice.
And there's obviously been a lot of talk and things around vegan protests and things like that. Has that affected you or your business in any way, or what are your views on that?
I think the vegans sort of bring a little bit of trouble on themselves the way in which they handle the protests, and that probably turns people against them rather than getting on side with them, and it probably turns them more into an activist then. I think the vegans aren't doing their cause any good at all, going about it the way they're going about it currently.
Yeah. And so innovation in butchering, from 40 years ago, what have you seen change in the way you produce product or anything like that? And how has technology or automated anything? How has innovation affected you?
Well, back when I first started, we used to mince through the mince, and you'd push the mince through the hole, out it'd come out the other end. These days we have automatic mincers, so everything's mixed and minced. You don't get your hands near it, it's far safer. Marinated meats sort of didn't exist when I first started. and that was something that came in after about 10 years when I was in it. Some people, butchers, come up from down south with great ideas, and back in the day we used to put the marinade on meat if we needed to hide the colour of it, but that's certainly not the case these days. Crumb products, nobody had faith in a crumb product in a butcher shop when I first started, because butchers wouldn't trim the fat, it'd be tough or on the spoil, and people didn't like that. So now crumb product is a major part of the business, but it's all just a beautiful trimmed product, and you're only using fresh meat anyway. So that changed. The whole culture of butchering morphed. Rather than having to just supply food, now we're having to give them great food, because we want them coming back, because I suppose the supermarkets come in to play there, and we're giving a certain quality of meat, and if you, in a butcher shop, if you didn't do that, you fell behind. You lost ground to the supermarket.
So what do you see in butchering in the future?
I think butchering, it's still got a very good future. You have to adapt. You have to adapt to your markets. Some areas, shops do a lot of value adding, have a lot of high-end products, but it's market driven. Like in an area where it might be double incomes, it's certainly better if they've got more expendable income. In the lower areas, I suppose, people are more price savvy, and got to watch their budgets, and so you've got to price yourself accordingly.
What's your favourite cut of meat?
Well, without a lie, it'd have to be a rib fillet on a bone or a T-bone steak. Anything on the bone is always better than something off the bone. Cooks more flavoursome. One way of describing it would be a leg of lamb. If you eat a leg of lamb, roast leg of lamb's been cooked on the bone, always tastes better than a boneless leg of lamb that's been cooked off the bone. Once you take something off the bone, it separates those membranes, a few more of the goodies cook out of it, I suppose. Ham, that's the other thing. Boneless ham always tastes nice. Bone-in ham tastes magnificent every time. And did I tell you that we have the best ham in Australia?
No.
Right. Last year we actually won the the award for best ham in Australia.
Wow.
So.
What makes your ham so awesome?
Just the way in which we make it. Good fresh pork, great ingredients that we use to cure the pork with, traditional wood smoked, and all made in store ourselves. So,
Wow.
It is magnificent ham.
So you've been here 40 years?
Yes.
40 years in Alex Hill Shopping Centre, and you're the only original tenant still here?
That's correct, yeah.
What have you seen change in your direct area?
Whoa, when in this area here now, plenty. The shopping centre never used to have a roof. It was Jack the Slasher. It was no Woolworths. Back in the day, it was Jack the Slasher. It was an open village style shopping centre. The shopping trolleys, when they ran the shopping trolleys along the concrete, it was exposed aggregate, so you could hear them coming from all the way up the other end of the shopping centre. There was a video library, and you just don't see them now. It was incredibly busy video library. The Commonwealth Bank. There was a couple of banks in the centre of those days, and a health food shop. And then when the shopping centre remodelled probably 26 years ago, they built it with a roof on. We went away for 3 months and we had two other stores at that stage, so we shut this one down while they rebuilt the section where our new store is now, and we've been in that spot for 26 years. When I remember walking into the shop after they put the roof on the centre, and they said, well, this is your tenancy, and we picked out our tenancy, obviously right next to Woolworths. That was where we wanted to be. That was where we could see our future. And my shop was a dirt floor. There was no pipes or anything. We had a couple of water pipes coming down from the ceiling, and everything else had to get built. So it's rather unique to see your shop start from that level.
And what have you loved about seeing, because you've been in the same place for 40 years, what is it like to see people grow and then start like as children and then start their own families and still coming to you?
Well, we've seen plenty of that, yeah. We're noticing there's one lady I've got to use for an example, and if she watches this, she'll know exactly who she is. And she come in and she just had twins, and I thought, oh my God, how the hell are you going to handle that? And the twins would be the same age as my eldest son now, and I thought, oh, I'm glad we never had twins. But they still come in the shop now. The lady herself and one of her daughters too now still.
Yeah.
But we're still serving families. We're serving grandchildren now. Some of the grandchildren are old enough to come in, so which is really great.
And working in a family business, so obviously working for your dad, but now having one of your sons working with you as well. What do you love about those generational businesses?
Generational businesses are great. I don't know any different, so I can't speak about anything else. It's all I've ever done. So, and I come up wanting to be a butcher all the way through. I had a grandfather that I admired. He was a butcher. I wanted to be a butcher. My father was a butcher, so it was just a progression and away I went. And then but having my own son in it comes with its own challenges. It's not easy, I've had all my children have worked at some stage, and we all have problems, and they move on and find something they want to do, or they stay around. It's just the way it is. But I like the challenge of that, and I hope it continues.
Why is the Aussie barbecue so magical?
Why not? Why not? Meat is just fantastic. Doesn't matter what it is. Barbecues are great. Doesn't matter whether you've got a flat hot plate or a grill or a smoker. Everyone's got their own way on how to cook a steak or a chop or a sausage. Everyone's got an idea. And it's those ideas that make the talk around barbecue or the dinner table so much better all the time. Everyone's got a certain way they want to bake a cake. But with meat, it's the same thing. Pour a beer, make a coffee. Everyone's got their own techniques.
Awesome. What are your most popular products?
Our most popular products would be our small goods, as in our sausages, rissoles and ham. Our sausage range would probably be 20 flavours, thereabouts. You can have them like a Chinese dumpling sausage or a mint and rosemary sausage, or the herb and garlic sausage. Everyone has a herb and garlic sausage, but beef and pork, masses of flavours. We mix it up all the time. And they're just great. You never prick a sausage on the barbecue, right? Yeah, always. The only time you should ever prick a sausage is if you see a little bit of fat coming up under the skin, close to the finish of the cooking cycle. Always let a sausage cook like a little pressure cooker the way it's designed. Just keep turning it evenly and do it that way. But if you prick the sausage, a lot of the goodness will cook out, and it will never be the same. Our rissoles, we call them Reggie's rissoles. Reggie was my dad, and he made the rissole because it was what his wife was making at the time. He said, these are really good, I reckon we could sell these. And so he made a few kilos of them, and my uncle worked in the shop with us at the time, and Dad gave him a tray of these rissoles. He said, here, I want you to put these in the window and sell them. He said, well, what do you want me to call them? And he said, I don't know, you call them whatever you want. Next minute the ticket's got Reggie's rissoles written on it, and we'd sell, 200 kilos or more of them a week. All the local schools have them as their hamburgers at school fetes now. We make smaller ones for them, for the burgers, and they sell very well. And then of course you've got our ham and our bacon. We've won multiple awards for our bacon over the years, and as recently winning that great ham award, the National Ham Award, and the small good side of things is very good. Everyone talks about it. Nothing like traditional wood smoked small goods.
And so I guess lastly, how do you cook the perfect medium steak?
Perfect medium steak, how I would cook it? Right, I prefer a steak cooked on a hot plate. but that's only my choice, right? Or a fry pan. That's how I like my steak. I'm not into char, so I'd have a good medium to hot plate. The steak should be at room temperature, right, before you cook.
Why?
No, I just find it cooks a better steak if it's at room temperature. And season the steak, salt and pepper, both sides. Put the steak down on the plate for a few minutes. When you see the sweat start to rise up on the top of the steak, start to get a bit of sweat on it, then turn him, leave him for another 4 or 5 minutes on that side, depending on how hot your plate is, of course. And you'll start to see a little bit of sweat come up again. Turn him again just for another minute. Done. Medium. And beautiful. Should be beautiful. You buy the right meat, it's always going to be good.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being a part of the project, and it's lovely to hear your story.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. I have to come and get the steak now and
Yeah.
try and cook the perfect
I hope that was all right.